What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's the bye week treating everybody? Yeah, we're actually on time today. And it really felt like we weren't going to be. Anyway, we do got a special guest waiting in the green room. I'm gonna let Jason introduce him here in a second. Before we get started, though, we of course got to remind everybody to help out Niner Faithful Radio by using our shop49ers.com affiliate link. Link is in the description of this podcast and video. Go to SeatGiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Make sure, Josh, Jason, and I were just talking about the Friday show. Make sure you catch Jason and I this Friday at 6 p.m. here on the West Coast for our weekly wrap preview show. Subscribe to everywhere. You can subscribe to Niner Faithful Radio at NinerFaithfulRadio.com/subscribe. Follow us on social media. Jason does a bang-up job on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at Niner Faithful Radio. Twitter at Niner Faithful R. Make sure you catch me live going at 8:30 here on the West Coast. Jason will be going live at halftime, 2 minutes before the halftime. And JB will be going live for our post game. And as always, listen to the end of the show to get your special 20% coupon code off of For the Faithful, by the Faithful Season 3 apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, faithful of all ages, let's get the show cracking.
Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana, touchdown, John Taylor.
What's cracking, Jason? How you doing, bro?
What's good, man? Feels like it's been a while since I've been on the Tuesday show.
I know, right?
Last week.
It's been a little bit a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah,
All right, Jason.
You guys had the dueling Batmans on on Halloween.
You know, that was pretty sick. I actually kind of liked it. Like I said, was telling people at work, unless I'm 100% mistaken, I'm like 90% positive. That's the first time we've done the show on Halloween, so that was kind of cool to wear a costume.
Yeah, I think that was because so that's the first time.
Yeah, because it would have been 7 years ago, so it would have been the year we started,
and we weren't doing it.
Yeah, we were doing it on Monday. So, anyway, all right. Who we got up in the comments? I'll go ahead and let you. Thanks, Bryant.
How's it going, BC?
All right, bro. I'll go ahead and let you introduce our special guest that we have on today.
All right, so for our special guest today, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have actually seen his breakdowns. He does an amazing breakdowns of all the 49er games, explains everything in the simplest terms, so even people new at football can understand what's going on. For the most part, I think both of us who were talking before the show, we pretty much agree with everything he says. Because like I said, it's pretty obvious for some of these things, but yeah, for the most part on there. You guys probably know his Josh Breaks Down, and Josh break down. I cannot say that for some reason. Yes, Josh Breakdowns. All right, so we're going to bring him in now. Josh, how's it going, my man? Welcome to the show.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been definitely a good time to have you here. Josh, obviously, like me, lives up in here in the Pacific Northwest. If nothing else, we're guaranteed to see each other at least on for about 30 seconds every year. During when the Niners come to town and we go to where the airplane lands and they drive by the buses, we all scream and yell for about 30 seconds and then we go home.
Yeah. Always good to welcome the team in when you're in enemy territory, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I wanted to go this year. I mean, I wanted to go out there this year so bad for Thanksgiving.
When you were in Denver, did they do anything like that?
No. I mean, we had our meet and greet, you know, and we had the tailgate and everything, but no, we didn't. But I believe the team might have gotten there before we did. No, wait, maybe not. No. They wouldn't have, because we got there like Thursday or something. Anyway, I wanted to go. I was there at the Thanksgiving game in 2014. I was at Levi's. It was actually my first game at Levi's Stadium. So this year getting a little bit of revenge would have definitely been sweet for your boy.
Definitely.
Okay, Josh. So your recent Bengals breakdown, I love it. I agree. I was at the game. I totally agree with what you said. I thought Brock played, I don't want to say phenomenal, but I was telling Jason early on in the show, he was winning in a different way. It was clear early on he was relying more on his legs. The receivers weren't getting open. But I mean, some of those moves he made with his legs, the throws that, let's be real, I totally agree with you when you said on the video that like those could come back and bite us in the ass, across the body, through the middle of the field. But for somebody that doesn't have the strongest arm, I thought he was slinging it early in this game.
Yeah, to me, Brock Purdy has really shown me that. And this sounds surprising when you take a look at his physical tools, because you think he's a smaller guy. He's got a little bit of a weaker arm. But to me, he's the total package at quarterback. And we actually, after the NFC Championship game last season, went back and took a look at this whole checklist of people saying, well, I'm waiting to see him do this, and I'm waiting to see him do that. Can he do this? And he checked off every single box of what you would want to do. Can he throw deep? Can he throw outside of the numbers? Can he use his legs? All of the things that you need a quarterback to do in the modern NFL. And Brock Purdy can do all of those things.
Jason and I were there when he came in against Miami. We were actually walking up to the stadium. We had just gotten into Levi's, and I always go to the front of the statue and then give a quick kiss to the catch, to Joe and Dwight, and then go out in front, have a cigarette, and then get to my seats. So we were just getting to into the stadium. I said, all right, bro, I'm going to go, kiss the statue, go to the front, and then I'll meet y'all up there. When I looked and I was like, they're bringing on the cart for Jimmy. And so we literally, probably about the time we got to our seats was probably around the first drive that Brock came in. The throw that impressed me the most, I want to say it was either right before or right after the 2-minute warning against Miami. They brought a zero blitz, and Brock got rocked, but he stood right in there, threw it dimes to Kittle, and I was like, rookie quarterbacks just don't make that throw.
Yeah, he's super accurate. He processes extremely quickly, and he sees the entire field. And to your point about how he played against the Bengals on Sunday, you're right. He was phenomenal, except for basically two mistakes that ended up really costing us. And that's sort of what we have to live with in terms of him being a second-year player. He's still very young. We've got to remember that. But some of these other throws he was making were just incredible, tight windows. And then throwing back across the body, he's making plays in the game. I don't know if the head coach will like that so much in the film room, but, you live and learn, right? But, I mean, he makes plays on the field.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Jason. No, go ahead, Jason.
And like I was talking about with TJ earlier, and you had mentioned that, he does have physical limitations. I think that's completely obvious. But that doesn't stop him from going for those big arm kind of plays. He's like, you know what? Yeah, my arm is not the strongest. I probably shouldn't do this, but I've got to at least take a chance. And I like that he still tries some of those things. He doesn't always succeed, obviously, but you have to at least be able to where, like, for example, with Jimmy was scared to make those throws. It's like, I could make that maybe, but I don't want to make a mistake. Well, sometimes you've got to push the envelope to be great and to do those kind of things, and he's willing to do those things.
He definitely has a little Brett Favre in him, I believe. But specifically what I wanted to ask with you, Josh, is the defense. I think we could all talk about glowing reviews and everything, because going into the season, let's be real, Brock A+, all that, we didn't know what we were going to have with Brock, but let's be real, under the Shanahan era, it's been mostly the defense that's driven the bus for this football team. And I remember on Tuesday's show last week when I had Brian on, I looked at him and I said, I was pissed. I was embarrassed, that we could have Mount Rushmore of our franchise, probably the NFL in that stadium and perform like that. Like, Ronnie Lott was watching that game and you come out as a defense and perform like that. And I said, and confused. I don't understand because I'm listening to them announce. I'm a season ticket holder now. I listen to them announce pretty much that they do the defense most every game, before the game. And I'm like, bro, is this a Pro Bowl? Like I'm hearing with my ears what would probably hopefully not be the NFC defense for the Pro Bowl because we'll be in the Super Bowl. But I'm hearing these names that they are going to be on the All Pro list this year. But what I'm seeing on the field isn't matching up. And even before this losing streak, I would come on the show and I would say, Jason, it doesn't feel the same, bro. It doesn't feel like 2019. Hell, it doesn't even feel like 2020. Josh, in your opinion, you're a man that watches the films. What is going on?
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot going on, and you're right. We do have the talent there. There's no doubt about it. Fred Warner and Nick Bosa certainly are perennial All-Pros, and then you've got a ton of other playmakers all over the field, guys like Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga. But you're right, they are not in sync. And what the coaches talk about all the time is the pass rush and the secondary really have to be in sync together, and we're not seeing that. Now, of course, other teams know this, and they know that we have that ferocious pass rush, and they scheme to get the ball out very quickly, and that sort of renders our secondary ineffective, which is why I think the Niners did make that big move in going out and getting Chase Young from Washington.
Yeah, I mean, we did get your thoughts. Actually, you know what, Jason and Josh, what are y'all thoughts about actually getting Chase Young? I keep on forgetting Jason was on the show with me last week. So, Josh, we'll go ahead and start with the guest first, and then I want to get Jason's thoughts on the physical trade of Chase Young.
Well, there's been so much said about Chase Young in the past week, and one of the great things as 49er fans is there is a ton of content available to us as a fan base and as a community. And I see other fans from other teams come in to my comments and they say, we don't have this. We don't have this for our team. So we're extremely fortunate. So I took all of it in, and I was listening to the Niner Faithful UK podcast, and they were saying that this was really it was like an act of thievery to get such a great player for a third-round pick. And you think third-round pick, that's pretty high. It's a compensatory pick, so it actually comes at the end of the third round. It's almost like a fourth-round pick. And the thing is, the Commanders really, in my opinion, made a little bit of a mistake. Chase Young had torn his ACL. He was recovering from that. They decided not to pick up his option. Chase Young has the speed. He showed several plays where he was able to run down Russell Wilson. And one thing the Niners have struggled with sometimes has been mobile quarterbacks, so that's great. But he's also able to transition from speed to power. He's the total package. And if he can get it going with Nick Bosa like they did when they were at Ohio State, this could be a huge tandem for the 49ers.
I mean, I'll get Jason's thoughts here in a second, but to me, when we make trades like this, I remove myself from the player. Look, Chase Young might not end up being what he is, but I look and I say, is Lynchahan blind to the needs of this football team? Right? And I applaud them just for the simple fact that they saw the issue and went out and got it done. Last year, they saw that the issue was the offense. What did we do? We went out and got it done. 2019, you could knock the player itself, but drafting Nick Bosa and then using a second-round pick to get D Ford, the trade itself didn't work out, but the move made sense. It was an aggressive move. It's aggressive where it makes sense. So do I know if Chase Young is going to work out? I mean, I would believe so. If, like you said, I watched Johnny Dell. What encouraged me the most is him sacking Jalen Hurts. So that's what encouraged me the most. Jason, your thoughts, Chase Young?
I thought it was a great pickup, especially as Josh had said, because even if we get him, because if he walks at the end of the year, we get a third pick back. So when it comes to pick wise, it's a wash, and that's not even whether he pans out good for us or he doesn't. Whatever, it's a no lose situation. We either have somebody who, if you remember, a lot of people are saying that because he had the same style of injury as Bosa and everything else. Well, Bosa got hurt in the beginning of the year. Okay. Chase Young didn't get. I think it was like week 12 or something. It was at the end of the season. So while Bosa had that entire year plus the off season to recover, Chase didn't have that. By the time he was able to walk and everything, the season was starting. I don't think he came back to like week 10 of the week.
No, it was Christmas Eve at Levi. I was at that game. It was Christmas Eve at Levi's. Was his first game back.
So and you can see how much
he looked good then.
Yeah. So his timeline is pushed back a little bit, and you've seen this year he's starting to get better and back to where he is. So if we're getting him at the perfect time, because now hopefully he hits that, starts ramping thing up, just like we did with Nick Bosa when he came back. He came back and didn't miss a step almost. Well, now Chase is starting to get his, Stella got a groove back kind of a thing. So he's definitely playing, 6 sacks, I believe it is right now.
5.5.
5.5. Before we do anything else, David McNiner's in the house, and we know we got to play his.
Always do that. David McNiner comes in.
That's how he signs out at the end of his things. F the Rams, they suck, and all that. So every time David,
but I agree with you in the sense that they always say it's the year after the ACL. Basically almost 2 full years when you really get it back. Nick Bosa, perfect example. 2021 should have won defensive MVP, at least NFL fucking comeback player of the year, but whatever. 2 years fully removed from his ACL. What does he do? I don't know, like damn near breaks the NFL sack record and wins defensive player of the year. So I'm not expecting that from Chase Young. I think ultimately the greatest thing for Chase Young is to get away from the franchise that took him number 2 overall, where there were these expectations. He's not the alpha in that room. He's probably not even the Bravo, honestly. I would
doesn't need to be.
Say, yeah, he doesn't need to be. Ultimately, I would say I'm not even looking at. I look at Chase Young making the impact that Bosa did against the Bengals, where basically both of Armstead's sacks came off of Bosa's pressures. So this is not a statistical move. This is a straight Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead are about to be beasts the rest of the season. Josh, I know that we're running a little bit short on time. Overall, where are you 8 weeks into the season and also transitioning into the second half of the season? 5-0 to start, lost 3 games in a row. I think it's a little bit of it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. You could point out, we could go through probably the Steelers game, week 1, whatever. Week 2, I mean, we could point out to a player or two here. We lose that game, definitely against the Giants. I felt that if we were playing a decent team, that Thursday night game against the Giants, I think we lose that ball game. We did not play well at all. Obviously, come blowing the doors off the Cry Girls and haven't won since. What are your thoughts? First 8 weeks, and then of course the next 9 weeks of this football team.
The Thursday night game is a really interesting one to me because the Giants sent a ton of blitz packages, and we saw over the course of the game the 49er offense, adjust to the blitz, and they worked very well in tandem with the defense that allowed them that time to do that. And to me, that's an example of the 49ers at their best. Even when they're a little bit slow to start with, they were still the juggernaut in the end, and they are really, really tough to beat. And, one of the things that I could really appreciate about the folks that watch my videos is just the really impressive football comments that come in. When we did our breakdown of the Browns game, one guy said, if Jake Moody makes that kick at the end of the game, the narrative is suddenly different, right?
So
It's like,
different.
wow, this team is so resilient. They can have a bad game and they're
Mm-hmm.
still really hard to beat. And I said, that's what it takes to beat the 49ers is all these things to go wrong. And then also they have to have a little bit
Our
of
rookie
luck.
kicker to miss a kick.
Yeah, and Minnesota was the same way. It was actually a pretty close game all the way up until the end. And we know Minnesota's a really tough place to play. Kirk Cousins had the game
Haven't
of
won
his
there since
life.
'92.
Over 30 years, yeah. So,
Yeah.
the 49ers, and then they go up against Cincinnati, which is an AFC juggernaut, as we know as well.
Yeah.
And that game was really close, too, until the end. So we are on a 3-game losing streak. It's really, we've got to, as a fan base, we're tempted oftentimes to take the glass half empty approach. If you go on Twitter or social media, the fan base can be all over the place at times. And to me, I've talked about this before. I think that this really speaks to the nature of the game of football. It's such a complete and rich game. It appeals to our intellectual side, but it also appeals to our emotional side. And emotionally, we go, oh my goodness, we've lost 3 games in a row. The sky is falling. What are we going to do? I think the best thing for us to do is to confront that and to look in the mirror and say they are a team that probably is doing a little bit of soul searching right now. They've looked at where they can improve their team. John Lynch made those moves to try to address that. And I think these next 5 games are really going to tell us a lot about where the 49ers are. They're playing Jacksonville, another good AFC team in Jacksonville, who was
Off a
coming
bye
off a
week.
bye. Yeah, so that game is going to tell me a lot. Then we're home against a Tampa Bay, a team that we should be able to beat at home. One would think in the NFL, you never know. But after that, I think is really the key to our season. We got Seattle, Philadelphia, Seattle, back to back to back. And that first Seattle game is the second time this season the 49ers are going to have to play a Thursday night game. So it's not going to get any easier for the 49ers. But, Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. And if he can just get the players to focus on the details, do their job, don't try to do too much, and take care of the football, we know we have the talent to get it done.
Ultimately, I'm with you, Josh, is that this is why I got actually so upset by the Cincinnati game, is the fact that this team is resilient. I think we've shown that in 2021. We've shown that in a little bit in 2019 too. I mean, the clinch by the inch and all that. It took some resiliency. And I was there at that Monday night game, and I swear I do. Anyway, but 2020, the resilience we showed in 2020 literally kicked out of our home. 2021, we all know how it was. 2022, on our third string quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, really on our fifth string quarterback by the time the NFC Championship game is over. So ultimately, this is why I'm still a glass half full type of guy about this season. When I removed myself, when I took the week, when I looked at the span of 8 weeks instead of just the last 3. And it's funny. I go back to, Niner Past a lot. And I did an interview with Mr. Roger Craig, one of the dopest people in this entire planet. For the 5-6 minutes I did the interview, nobody else in the universe existed by me, did not take his eyes off, like, coolest guy ever. And one of the questions I asked him was, what is your favorite Niner memory? Like, I tell my kids about you. What would you want me to tell them about Roger Craig? And he talked about the 88 season, when I believe we were, I want to say 6-5, or where somehow we ended up winning like 3 out of the last, or 6 out of the last 5 or something like that, and ended up winning the Super Bowl. And so it's ultimately, why does Eli Manning have 2 championships? Eli Manning doesn't have 2 championships because the Giants were, please, let's be real, especially the undefeated season. Patriots should have blew the doors off the Giants. Eli Manning has 2 championships because the Giants were playing their best football when it mattered most. And so this is why I get, you talk about the emotions of football. This is why I get fired up, is because I get to see what Kyle Shanahan is. Okay, well, Kyle, it ain't 2019, when you're 8-0 and basically limped into the finish line. Brock, I told Jason, I said, I'm most excited to see what Brock is, because ultimately I think we'll be able to have a pretty, not solid foundation, but we'll have somewhat of a foundation to believe what he is, because either it's going to fold and we're probably going to know the answer, or he's going to rise to the occasion. And then it's kind of like, well, what else do you want the man to do? Anyway, Jason, any final questions for Josh? I know that you got a busy schedule, my man.
The only question I had, because we pretty much covered. Oh, let me ask you this one. Your thoughts on Wilkes coming down from the booth? You think that's going to improve anything?
Has that been announced? Is he actually doing that, or is this just discussion at this point?
Just discussion.
Just discussion. Well, I know in football in general, it's typically seen as kind of a last ditch move to try to change something up, just to try to see if they can get something going. If you think about, I was listening to Haberman and Middlecoff talk about this. Robert Saleh, very emotional guy, down on the sideline, in the trenches with the players, and D'Amico Ryans very much the same way. Now you have Wilkes, very low-key, calm individual, which can be a great quality in coaching, and he's up in the booth. He's a little bit removed from what's going on the sideline. He could probably see the field better, so in terms of scheme, that can be important. But he ultimately, if you see that happen, if you see Wilkes come down to the sideline, that's your telltale sign that things are really not going well, because now they're trying to take him where he's the most comfortable from the booth, and trying to make a change out of desperation, and that's not good. So that's why I was wondering if that had been announced. That if that hasn't happened yet, I think that's actually probably a good sign. Not to say that it can't work, because sometimes it does, and that's why teams do it. But I think right now, Wilkes, he's definitely adjusting to the role. It's been a tough transition for him. It's been there's been some really tough moments and some questionable calls. But if he can get things going and the defense can settle in a little bit, the 49ers are still the San Francisco 49ers. They're still going to be that really tough team to beat down the stretch.
And ultimately, I think this is something that's not discussed, to get to your point. I mean, Wilkes, what was Robert Saleh in his heart? He was a linebacker coach. What's D'Amico Ryans? He literally is a linebacker. What's Wilkes' baby? Secondary. Personally, I kind of, when this is when we were talking about the game, and I actually kind of got into some fans about it, and I said, look, if you're gonna go in there and scream in your player's face and everything, and fist bump them and chest bump them and all that, but I said I don't think Steve Wilkes is gonna do that. I personally think it's a disadvantage, because if at my heart, my defensive coordinator is a secondary coach, then I would believe being in the booth would be more beneficial too. The only way I've said that I'll accept it, except for what it is, a gimmick to, try, basically we tried everything else, is if Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, leaders of the defense, say we are not able to make adjustments or communicate as easily because we've got to go, Bosa saying I got to go through Kasurk, who's got to go through Wilkes, and what do they say about, the telephone game? Same with Fred Warner. Also, the fact that this is the first time Fred Warner's not basically had a linebacker as his defensive coordinator. And what was Robert Saleh, basically the defensive coordinator since he drafted him? What was D'Amico Ryans? His coach since he came into the NFL. Like, literally, until this year, Fred Warner has never had another coach besides John Lee Holland and D'Amico Ryans. And so I think that what you said about, the adjustment period and everything, and so that's the only way I'm accepting it, is that if they say, hey, look, this is a communication thing, so we figure instead of 8 degrees of separation, Fred Warner can come over directly and talk to Steve Wilkes and communicate efficiently. Because the thing that's been most disappointing to me about Steve Wilkes is I thought the secondary was going to take an uptick. And I have not seen that. And that's the one thing that concerns me. fine, a step back from the linebackers, some communication issues, some blown coverages, things of that nature. But I have not seen the increase of the secondary play.
Yeah, it's so interesting because whenever you talk about offensive schemes and defensive schemes, the league adapts, right? The other coaches adapt to what you're doing. The players can also tend to tune out a certain style after so long. So bringing in a coach with a completely different mindset, it has been a struggle, but there are potential advantages there too, to mix things up, make our defense a little bit more unpredictable, and then try to get the players to see a different perspective from things. It hasn't worked yet, and we actually took a look at a few players where even the great Fred Warner has made a few mistakes. I do think that you talked about that it's never as bad as it looks, it's never as good as it looks. I do think they're hopefully closer than we might think. The secondary, they do have a lot of good playmakers back there, right? Gibson, Hufanga, Ward, and then Isaiah Oliver, who's been a little bit all over the place. He has made a lot of big plays this year.
He has.
The Rams game especially, and even in the Bengals game, that fumble inside the 5-yard line, which stopped that Bengals drive. So we're close. We're close, right? We just got to put it all together. The players have to execute better, and part of that is the coach. Steve Wilkes does have to coach a little bit better, and if they could just kind of get it, fine-tuned a little bit, hopefully we're right there. I'm being optimistic here, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what are we supposed to do? And it's kind of hard not to be. Well, we've just watched our team in 3 out of the last 4 NFC Championship games.
Yeah.
So over the course of 17 weeks, do I feel that Fred Warner will be the best linebacker in football? I mean, do I believe Nick Bosa will be, one of the best D linemen? Which actually, interesting fact is, Nick Bosa actually leads the league in hits. So what does that tell you? Like
That's
you
great.
said, almost there. So I think that extra tick, that extra beat should help. Josh, we appreciate you so much, brother, for coming on. It's been awesome. Please tell the faithful how they can find you, get a hold of you, social, YouTube, all that.
Josh's Breakdowns on YouTube. That's the main place to find me. We break down every 49er game every week. We look at the good and we look at the bad. We try to present it neutrally. So that means you might not see some of your favorite plays. But if you are searching for answers, we're going to try to provide them for you. What went wrong and how it went wrong. And, of course, in the games we win, which hopefully we have a lot more of those, it's always fun to go back and relive and find out how exactly we dismantled the other team. And then you can follow me on Threads, at Josh Breakdowns. Threads is starting to pick up some steam, and you can go follow me and interact with me there, too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. Been
Hey,
a real
Josh,
pleasure.
did the wife let you get tickets to the Thanksgiving game yet?
No, with... So I work a graveyard shift. For those of you that don't know, my work schedule is not so great for Thursday night football. If it were a Sunday game, me and Angie went to the game a couple of years ago when they came up here and played on Sunday. George Kittle scored 2 touchdowns in that game, so that was great.
I was at that one too. That was a good game to be at.
Yeah, that was yeah. All right, Josh, thank you so much. Please don't be a stranger, bro.
Thanks, bro. It was good stuff talking to you, man.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good one.
Awesome. Yeah, make sure you go to give Josh, between him and Johnny Dell, I believe.
What else do you need?
We definitely get the whys and the how does everything else. Yeah, that's I didn't know exactly how it all was. We didn't get exactly into the nitty-gritty of Oliver and everything like that, but I definitely
he's this year's version of Josh Norman.
I was just gonna say, when you posted that meme, I almost pissed myself.
Oh, with the
like,
Spider-Man one?
Yeah. I was like, bro, ain't that the fucking truth? Okay, so we do got a little bit longer on the show. We just wanted to go ahead and get Josh out so he can do his thing, and we really appreciate him coming on. Robert Beal Jr., Darrell Luter Jr., And who was the other one, Jason?
Samuel Womack. All coming back. They had their practice windows open to return to the roster. I don't think Beal makes the team, especially now that we just grabbed Chase Young, unless we're just going to give up on, like, say, some guy who went disappearing named Drake Jackson. I don't think I've heard his name in the last 4 weeks. Cleveland Farrell and Randy Gregory are playing better than him. So unless they've just completely given up on Drake, I don't see Beal making the active roster. The other two, especially Samuel Womack, I think we have to give him a shot at that nickel position. It's almost a need and a necessity. He's got to. And then I think Luter's kind of 50-50 on him making the an active roster position.
Give me a sec. Went down the wrong pipe. Anyway, I agree with you. I think that not having Sammy Womack has been a huge blow to this team, just to be able to have another option out there.
Yeah.
And especially with Luter, because let's be real. The reason that we haven't just put Demo in the slot is because Ambry Thomas ain't it.
Has he even been active the last couple of games? I don't remember seeing him.
I literally have not heard him. I've not seen him. He probably has been active, maybe special teams.
Yeah, maybe that.
But because Demo in the slot, Charvarius Ward, and insert corner opposite of Charvarius Ward is probably our best secondary.
Yeah.
Until we can address the slot situation, which unfortunately we didn't get into it with Josh, but I was going to ask, how big of a one of the biggest losses, offseason losses of maybe the Shanahan era has been Jimmy Ward.
Oh, I think that without a doubt, that's an easy one.
I think really, honestly, I think a lot of these problems are solved if Jimmy Ward is in the field. But
he didn't want to play that nickel spot, though. And I mean, I get it. You don't want to play that position, but damn, was he ever good at that position?
It's really, truthfully, I don't think it was that he didn't want to play nickel. He didn't want to get paid like a nickel, and safeties make more. So that's what I think. If the Niners would have came to him and said, "Look, Jimmy, we'll pay you like a safety. Just play nickel," then I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, maybe, and that could have been it. You necessarily want to, because that's a huge drop to go from a starting position, at either corner, a safety, and all of a sudden, I mean, I almost want to look up to see what the price difference on, what the salary difference on those is, but it's got to be a huge drop in salary.
So, especially with, I wonder if there was a private conversation between D'Amico and Jimmy Ward.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
Which basically was like, "Look, Jimmy, leave here. We'll sign you in Houston, and
and you'll start at the position you want to start in."
Yeah,
I can almost guarantee that happened. How's it going, Ryan? Thank you for showing up, brother. If there wasn't and I don't even know if we necessarily call that a backdoor conversation, considering I'm sure that he had to talk to him about that. I'm like, "Hey, man, you're good. We'll pay you a little bit more. You do what you want." What do you think about Beal making it? Do you think he makes the 53 or just the active in general?
No, I mean, because if Robert Beal can beat out Drake Jackson, we got some serious problems. Somebody say backdoor.
Always the back door, brother.
Yeah.
Ain't no crypto.
But no. So that's my main concern. Like, awesome, good for Robert Beal. You can come in here, you can make an impact and everything like that. But that's bad for Drake Jackson. That is not a good look, especially when I don't feel there's no excuses. Look, the Niners are pretty, tough love and everything like that. But hey, welcome to the NFL, Rook.
Yeah, we gave you your red shirt season kind of thing already.
And to his credit, at least as far as the offseason was concerned, Drake Jackson responded appropriately and did everything that they wanted him to do and all that stuff. Now, this is the harsh reality of the NFL. Look, you can show up to every single workout. You can, put on the muscle. You can do everything the coach wants you. But if you just ain't productive on the field, bro, then you're just a slow
Sometimes it
ass
just
nigga
don't
that's about
work
to be a
out.
security guard. Like,
Sometimes shit just doesn't work out for you in life. You
yeah,
can put in all the effort, and for some reason it doesn't go out. So, but yeah, like I said, like we talked about, I feel that if he does if Beal makes it, it's going to have to be because of either an injury to one of those guys, or more than likely it has to do with something with Jake Jackson. Because especially with the start that he had to the season,
yeah,
2.5 in the first game, and then another in the next, and then just literally he has just fallen
nothing.
off the face of the earth. Like, I can't remember seeing him on the field. I don't remember hearing his name called for a tackle or even missing a tackle or anything.
And I think what makes it worse is they literally traded somebody that plays your position, bro. Like, Beal is a raw with the blistering speed. I don't see him getting the reps when he's asked to do more than third down rushing. I mean,
You're not wrong, but like I said, we're
especially
going if he just disappears with Jackson.
especially considered, um, the money down. It's a big issue if it's not Nick Bosa and Chase Young. Any significant down in the football game, maybe not on Sunday, maybe they're working them in or anything like that. But as we definitely by the time we get to that
Sunday
Eagles
he needs
game,
to be in those downs. Chase needs to be on those
yeah,
downs.
like I mean, I think it's very. If he's not there, then we got a serious problem because
it's not like he's coming back from injury or anything like that. No. He's been playing all year. He's been playing pretty good.
He's been productive.
Yep.
That's the thing about it is his film looks good. So if he's not, then that's an issue. And
well, there is one of the reasons they were talking about that the issue that he had in Washington is that he does freelance a little bit. Like, he'll leave his position and going for those big plays, the sacks and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if he's making those sacks and, forgoing some of the stuff, it's not the worst thing in the world. We're getting
I also heard that Gregory couldn't stay on side. And man hasn't jumped out offsides once. So, like, I mean, it's cool. You know what? I'll take Chase Young, once a game freelancing and everything, as long as it doesn't lead to a touchdown. I'll take that if he gets, 4 pressures a game. Like, it's that, yeah. And I think also what's awesome about this too is he doesn't need to come in and be the savior. I guarantee you, they're in the locker room. They're talking like, this isn't going to fix our issues. We still got to tackle, like you've been saying the last couple of weeks, Jason. We've got to tackle and not hit. Doesn't matter how fast you get there. It doesn't matter if, you're right in the backfield to make the play. If, somebody bounces right off of you and goes 8 more yards downfield.
Yep.
So, I think that's my any final thoughts, bro?
No, quite an exciting off week, because we got obviously with Chase Young. Debo's pretty much said he was back on the Up and Adams show, so we'll definitely see him back. Trent was on the field but wasn't practicing with everybody. He was just off on the side field doing other stuff, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be back for this week. I think the only person that's technically out right now is going to be Banks. Because more than likely, I think Feliciano is going to take that position at least for a week or two. I would think maybe depending on how bad his turf toe is.
Yeah, so, no, definitely. We need Trent because if we have Jalen Moore, who's hello, Miss Veronica, how you doing? Look, Jalen Moore has filled it admirably, way better than I thought it was going to be because I thought it was about to be ugly, Jason.
Yeah, we were thinking the worst, and it hasn't been terrible. I mean, it's not great. Definitely not Trent Williams, but it hasn't been the doom and gloom we kind of thought everybody was going to.
But if you're without Aaron Banks and Trent Williams, it might get a little ugly. especially when you know. I mean, you don't think Trent Baalke is sitting there? This is his fucking. Besides the actual Super Bowl, this is his fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You don't think he would love to smack the Niners in the mouth and walk across that field and shake Jed's hand after the game?
Yeah.
You know, if Jed's even going on the trip, you know.
We'll see.
All right, brother.
I definitely want to beat them. I mean, it sucks. We were playing another fourth straight game with the team coming off a bye.
How is that possible, bruh?
We got screwed by the schedule makers, but one of the good saving part is that their offensive line is trash. But at the same time, Sunshine does get the ball out really damn quickly.
Yeah, but you know, I think I'll take a Nick Bosa motivated to get some home Florida cooking. You know, I trust Nicky to do his thing in Florida in the Sunshine State. You know,
definitely.
All right, bro. So we'll see you Friday at 6.
Friday night at 6, back to our regular time.
Yeah. All right, bro. We'll catch you then.
Bye.
All right, we thank Jason for coming on. Thanks, Josh, for coming on. We're going to go ahead and put the link to his YouTube in the show notes. Miss Veronica Bryant, No Border Sports, Miss Teresa, David McNiner, Robert, John. I'm trying to get everybody that's been in the chat. Twin. Yeah, that should be everybody. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. But before we get out of here today, we of course got to remind everybody to help out Niner Faithful Radio by using our shop49ers.com affiliate link. Link is in the description of the video or podcast. Go ahead and go to SeatGiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Of course, catch Jason and I doing our Friday show at 6 p.m. here on the West Coast Friday night. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/subscribe to see everywhere you can subscribe to the show. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at Niner Faithful Radio, and Twitter at Niner Faithful R. Catch me doing the pregame show at 8:30 this Sunday. Jason will be live 2-minute at the 2-minute warning, and Jamie will be doing your postgame. And of course, this week's coupon code for 20% off of For the Faithful by the Faithful Season 3 apparel is End the Streak. Please, Lord. I'm tired of losing. All right, we'll go ahead and catch y'all Friday. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
Rice has just set a Super Bowl record with 12 catches. He's in motion. Montana. Touchdown, John Taylor.
See ya.